This ratio shows how much locked capital is required to support $1 of daily trading. Ethereum, 4.3x, which means $1 of daily volume requires $4.30 of locked capital. Solana, close, 5x, similar efficiency. Cardano, wait for it. How do you know if a restaurant is in trouble? Do you go there and look at the menu price to make an assessment? Or do you check and monitor if the tables are full or empty? What is giving you the right data to make this assessment? Here's the thing. Cardano DeFi, more inefficient TVL is not going to make a difference. These gaps can only be fixed with the infrastructure that makes fragmented liquidity visible, manageable, and actionable. That is Liquidity. My name is Santiago, and I'm the founder of Liquidity, the first pool degradation monitoring solution to solve one pool at a time what is now an emergency situation for Cardano. The hidden liquidity fragmentation crisis that costs millions per year to traders, protocols, and the ecosystem as a whole. The liquidity crisis that is pushing institutional investment away from Cardano, increasing the gap with competing blockchains. I say hidden because before Liquidity there was no way to track pool's depth before being hit with unexpected and sometimes irrational slippage. Most people focus their attention on price action and TVL, when it's liquidity fragmentation the real cause to higher swapping costs and cascade failure risk. Price and TVL may look perfectly stable before a price crash. We have seen it before. Liquidity monitors and notifies pool degradation in advance to activate the right countermeasures when it really matters, before the situation escalates to a mechanical cascade failure. Liquidity can transform Cardano from too risky to institutional and mass adoption ready. In today's video, I will focus on measuring how much is bad liquidity costing to Cardano, and how the numbers compare to Ethereum and Solana, to understand the gaps and the magnitude of this problem. If you are in any way invested in Cardano or DeFi in general, I will show you some facts and some numbers today you don't want to miss out. So buckle up and let's dig in. What if I told you traders lost $91 million on Cardano in 2025 just from bad liquidity? Not from hacks, not from fraud, not from market crashes, from preventable infrastructure gaps. $91 million lost to slippage. All this considering Cardano had an average TVL for 2025 of $280 million approximately. If you look at Cardano TVL in the dashboards, it looks stable, but TVL and actual liquidity are not the same thing. The problem is TVL counts total capital locked in pools, but when protocols are under stress, that capital becomes paralyzed with LP protection mechanisms that freeze withdrawals or liquidity providers panic exiting and making the problem much worse. Just look at the October 10th crash. Add a crash from 82 cents of a dollar to 27 cents. In some pools even lower, hitting traders with irrational slippage. However, dashboards still show TVL. Yes, the capital was there, technically, but it was inaccessible. Capital was unusable when it mattered the most. This proves that a pool can have excellent TVL and terrible depth. And this is a massive flag for institutional support. Make no mistake, the investor watch price, the trader chase volume, but the people managing risk for smart money, these people watch liquidity depth. And you may think, well, this only affects traders, but even if you don't trade actively, this problem affects you as well. It affects protocol valuation, LP returns, and ecosystem confidence. And this is probably the main reason, or one of the main reasons, why institutional support, it seems to be skipping Cardano right now. Naturally, not everyone understands market depth entirely. People get saying, but price looks healthy, there is TVL. I understand. But for easier understanding, let's use an analogy. Just think about a restaurant. How do you know if a restaurant is in trouble? Do you go there and look at the menu price to make an assessment? Or do you check and monitor if the tables are full or empty? What is giving you the right data to make this assessment? Here's the thing. Cardano DeFi operates without being able to see how full the tables are. Can you see the problem now? Now let's put things in perspective, comparing Cardano to Ethereum and Solana. Let me show you the most revealing metric nobody wants to talk about, the TVL to daily volume ratio. This ratio shows how much locked capital is required to support $1 of daily trading. Ethereum, 4.3x, which means $1 of daily volume requires $4.30 of locked capital. Solana, close, 5x, similar efficiency. Cardano, wait for it, 54.9x rate, almost $55 of locked capital for every dollar of daily volume. This is not a coincidence. This is the signature of liquidity fragmentation. Capital exists, but is paralyzed. It's not supporting trades. It's sitting in isolated pools, unable to flow where and when traders need it. What number surprised you more, the 54.9x ratio or the comparison with 4.3 to Ethereum? Did you expect for Cardano to be so far behind? When we calculate the 91 million annual loss, what we're actually calculating is the cost of this massive inefficiency. Or think about it this way. Cardano has 280 million TVL average per year in 2025, but it only supports 5.1 million in daily volume. This is the 55x rate that I'm talking about. Ethereum has about $119 billion TVL to support 27.5 billion in daily volume. That is the 4.3x ratio. This means Cardano requires 12 times plus more capital per dollar of trading than Ethereum. And now let me ask you, if Cardano's liquidity is 12 times less efficient than Ethereum, and you are a day trader looking for the next setup opportunity, where would you be more confident placing your order? Tell me in the comments. And what is more importantly, what do you think this inefficiency is costing Cardano in institutional capital? It is impossible to know where Cardano will be with a better efficiency rate. But one thing is clear, not solving this right now will make the gap worse and worse and worse. And just comparing apples to apples. If Cardano liquidity was consolidated like on Ethereum, that same 280 million TVL could support $65 million in daily volume instead of the 5.1 million we have right now. Now comparing 5.1 million to more than 27 billion on Ethereum and 1.6 billion on Solana. And then add 91 million loss as a consequence of traders losing while capital sits fragmented instead of working efficiently. 91 million, almost a third of the average annual TVL for 2025. I mean, can you see the magnitude of this issue? It's staggering. And these inefficiency gaps affect absolutely everyone. Traders lose because liquidity has TVL to volume fragmentation rate of 55x, meaning 12 times less efficient than Ethereum. So in every single trade, traders execute against a thinner book. Traders have no pool visibility, and slippage multiplies because capital is not consolidated. Liquidity providers lock capital that doesn't productively support trading volume. They earn yield on idle capital. What the 55x ratio proves is that the capital is there, but is simply not working. And then the protocols can manage liquidity crisis. They can't do it because they lack the visibility into pool health across this fragmented structure. Fragmentation means not single point of truth, and there is no way to monitor pool degradation before leak zone. And then the institutions. The institutions see the 55x ratio and walk away without making questions. Cardano needs 12 times more capital per dollar of trading than Ethereum. And that's not a narrative problem. That's a staggering structural gap. But how this inefficiency affects you? What is more painful for you as a Cardano stakeholder? And how do you expect leak zone to make the difference for you? Please tell me in the comments. Even if you want to have a conversation with me, now is the right time. We are building leak zone for the community to improve this situation. So I'll be delighted to jump in a call with you to discuss your ideas and see how we can make leak zone better for everyone. And then some may say that this happens to all DeFi. And in a way they are right. These fragmentation issues are a design flaw of the AMM models DeFi is built on. But let's look at what Ethereum and Solana are doing to improve these structural issues and the response from Cardano so far. Ethereum 4.3 ratio works because it has aggregators like 1inch. They consolidate fragmented liquidity into optimal routes, reducing slippage. However, pool's health remain hidden and is more of a reactive solution to the structural problem. Solana has MEV solutions that reduce extraction costs. And preventing extraction is viable, but again, it fails to prevent cascade failures. And then Cardano. Despite being more vulnerable to liquidity fragmentation, Cardano has no answer to slippage, extraction, or cascade failure so far. Leak zone is what Cardano needs to get ahead of the curve right now. With pool health dashboards available to the public and a swap optimizer, leak zone reduces slippage and prevents extractions on Cardano as well. But leak zone goes further than this, solving the root cause of this problem: fragmented liquidity visibility and crisis prevention. Once protocols monitor pool health in real time, they can consolidate liquidity responses, and the TVL to volume ratios start to normalize, and capital become more productive and efficient. Leak zone is a first mover, giving Cardano a competitive advantage to close the gap. No blockchain has crisis prevention infrastructure before leak zone. I can't say clearer than this. Cardano needs leak zone as soon as possible. Cardano's liquidity problem is not invisible anymore. The TVL to volume ratio of 55x proves this is a structural flaw compared to Ethereum's 4.3 and Solana's 5 ratio. Cardano needs more than 12 times in capital for every dollar of trading volume. That's why traders lose 91 million annually to slippage. That's why institutions are staying away from Cardano right now. These massive inefficiency gaps can be fixed with price appreciation. More inefficient TVL is not going to make a difference. These gaps can only be fixed with the infrastructure that makes fragmented liquidity visible, manageable, and actionable. That is leak zone. And now it's your turn to make a difference. Vote for Liquidity on Project Catalyst to improve Cardano capital efficiency from 55 towards Ethereum 4.3. I will leave the link to vote in the description, and for anyone involved in Project Catalyst, vote for Liquidity to protect capital, traders, liquidity providers, and the whole Cardano ecosystem. Let's open the floodgates to institutional investments and turn the tide in favor of Cardano. So, do you agree with me that bad liquidity is the main bottleneck for Cardano right now? Let me know in the comments. I will be covering soon other hot topics, including anatomy of a cascade failure, why the last October will happen again, or why your next great decentralized app will fail without Liquidity. Let me know what you want me to cover in future videos. Like and subscribe if you find my content relevant, or feel free to give me a thumbs down if you really disagree with me. It's okay. I'm okay with that. But at least tell me why. At least give me the opportunity to respond and start a meaningful conversation with you. And with all this, all the very best for everyone for the new year. Let's make the best of 2026. And I'll see you all very soon. Until the next one.